Hello, hello. This is Jeanne-Marie Paynel here for your weekly Q&A. I didn't realize I had gone live. I was still gathering my books for you. So, hello. For those of you who don't know me, I am Jeanne-Marie Paynel. I am the owner and founder of Voila Montessori, where I share my passion about Montessori and how to apply it in your daily lives, how to bring it into your home and such. So happy to be here with you and wanted to answer some questions that I have been getting around why order, simplicity, and this notion of minimalism is so important in the Montessori home. Hello, Susie from South Florida. Wonderful. And yes, please always let me know where you're calling in from, because I just love how global and diverse this Montessori community is. So it is just brings me so much joy to realize how many of you want to know about Montessori and aren't necessarily, trained or are able to go to a Montessori school or such, but you've heard about it, you're interested, and more importantly, you want to know how to bring it into your home on a daily basis. And for me, it's really, what Montessori has done for me, at least on a personal level, and then, I changed my whole profession around this concept of Montessori, is really a better understanding of human development, a better understanding of what our child needs from us and what they are going through at different times of their development. And as parents or caregivers, how we can support them. So please let me know if you can hear me okay and such, and I will get into today's topic, this week's topic, which is about order and simplicity. So to get started on this notion of order, first of all, it's important to understand that order, so the visual order of things, of the simplicity of where things are and such, is really an important basic need, really, to have this sense of being able to classify, to make sense of what's going on. And so the physical order, when we have things, in kind of in an orderly fashion, as opposed to kind of, clutter and nothing really makes sense, brings in that internal order, brings in that kind of peaceful and kind of de-stresses us. I always tell the story of having gone to do a home consultation, which is what I do. I do some private consultations. I also do a lot of online work, but I went into someone's home, and this was a family that had hired me to come and prepare their home for their 3-year-old, almost 3-year-old, who was going off to a Montessori school. And so they wanted to make sure that they were supporting him in the best way to, make sure that there were some parallels between the home and the school, which I highly encourage, because that is actually one of the reasons I started the work I do. I noticed how much there was a disconnect sometimes between what we were doing in the Montessori prepared environment and what children were going home to. So definitely, a plus when you have your child in a Montessori school. And usually the school will also help you, understand a lot of that. But so this was a family that was starting. They had an almost 3-year-old and a 9-month-old. And I remember so well, hello from Toronto. You see already, Florida, Toronto, wonderful. And I'm in San Diego, by the way. So just to go back to the story about order, I walked into this almost 3-year-old's bedroom. And I the adult was overwhelmed with just so many toys and things on the walls and character, sleep, the pillows and all of this. And it was just a lot of information to take in. So I can only imagine how much it was for this little person, this almost 3-year-old little boy. And the parents had been kind of complaining and were concerned that he was in their term bouncing off the walls. And when I walked into that bedroom, I understood. So that is why, to me, it's really important to understand the reasons why we, when you see a lot of the Montessori home photos and everything on social media, whether you're on Instagram, Pinterest, or Facebook and things, we see this very kind of pure, minimalist, and really simplified notion. And that is why, because children are extremely sensitive to order and it is actually what Montessori calls a sensitive period, meaning that it is a time in their life where they are very particular about order, but also they are trying to make sense of their world. They are trying to classify their world. So let's help them by minimizing how much they need to take in and make sense of it. So in the home, that is translated by, you don't need so many toys and stuff. There is already so much that they can discover in their homes with what you already have in the home, just the utensils and the furniture and the books and just items that are around you, right? So just being mindful that we do not need to, go out and buy all of these gadgets that, manufacturers would have us believe that we can't live without them. So just, being mindful, like they don't need all that much. And so if you are starting out, so for example, you are expecting and you're just starting out and you're wanting to prepare your nursery and such, keep it really simple to a minimum, right? Because the child is just going to need time to, get their visual sense, get their auditory sense. Like when they are born, they're still developing. They're still, and so go at it easy. One just very simple, loving, pure little environment. And then if you are, a parent that already has a child in the home and you feel that maybe you do have a little bit much and there is maybe you're starting to feel the stress of I've accumulated too much and you're noticing that it's hard to maybe get your child to put things away, or you're ending up, putting things away and there's just a lot. Well, that is a sure sign that there's too much. And that's that. If you're feeling the stress, imagine what your young child is feeling, right? So I invite you to really declutter and purge and do this, make this part of your routine. Like just do this every once in a while. I don't want to impose like, you have to do it every day or every month or whatever. Find what works for you. But make that part of your kind of ritual. And even, it can even be a daily thing when you are putting things away. Like, did you notice that your child didn't even touch this, or maybe misused a toy or things like that? Put it away. If it's broken, if it's missing pieces, if it's being misused, put it away. And so that you start kind of, having more of a minimalist kind of attitude towards how many toys are out. And so, and I will put down below, I prepared a little PDF for you about sorting and organizing toys and kind of some steps that I've learned when I did a Feng Shui training, which was amazing. And there again, talks about the clutter and just the energy that it takes in and such. And so very important. It's no wonder that right now we have such a, oops, sorry about that, helicopter going over my head. If you haven't looked at this, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up from Mary Kondo, it's no surprise that there are more and more books and people talking about minimalism and simplicity, because we're realizing that we need to just like, whew, take a deep breath and kind of, get rid of some of the things that are in our lives. And this can be, you as the parent, as the adult, this can be as simple as, what's on your phone. Sometimes there's just an app overload on your phone and it's just too much, or taking off the notifications, all of that. So I won't get into the adult part. I'll stick to the toys and the importance for you in the home. So the other reason why it's important. So first order is just a basic human need and also a sensitive period for children. But it also, for you as the caregiver, it will help you be able to put things back in the same place every time. And this is really going to help your child have that sense of order and be able to classify things in their brain, and also be able to put things back themselves. Because if we have a specific place for things, it is much easier, right? And that's why in Montessori, we prefer using low shelves for our children as opposed to a big toy box where everything just gets thrown in. Because there again, that sense of order, there is no sense of order in a toy box, right? We want that one specific toy. We have to get everything out until we find it. And it just is not as enticing as seeing something on the shelf. We want to go work with it. Most often time we have a little basket or a tray where things are kept together. Also very helpful in that sense of order where all the pieces just go back in one basket or one tray, much easier to put away. So, I invite you to observe first to see what your child is really loving to go back to and is repeating and is interested in. And the rest, well, just put it away for a while. And if you think that they're not going to play with it again, consider donating it, selling it, or putting it away if you're expecting a second, or if you have a friend or, or sister or brother that are expecting soon that could use them. Rotate the toys among your community, your tribe. Especially sometimes, I get that Montessori toys can be expensive and such. I really, really encourage kind of this community concept of sharing some of the toys and that financial burden. Also, I do have, I will say good things about MontiKids. If you haven't heard about them, they are a Montessori toy subscription service for the first 3 years. High quality toys. I've had the pleasure of unpacking all of the levels because I was, when I set up a environment recently, and high quality. And this is great to be able to purge everything, because honestly, if you do this subscription service, that's all you need. There's really nothing else you need other than setting up maybe some practical life activities, which you do with what you have in the home, with what your child is interested in. So that's also a great way to make sure that you don't accumulate too much. And great if you are in the beginning of parentings. I highly encourage to put that on your registry, or invite family members to participate. I think it's $99 a month, but well worth it, because we end up spending quite a bit on our children, and that, if that's your budget and you're going to receive it, that's all you need, and that's a great way to keep things simple and minimalist. So that was a pitch for MontiKids, just because I feel that they've done a really wonderful, service to the Montessori community. So just to go back to the sense of order, again, the fact that order is very kind of a sensitive time for the child, but also just helps them adapt to their time, place, and culture with ease. Like they're not bombarded with just too much to take in, right? And then it really helps us as the adult living in that home to not feel overwhelmed, because I get a lot of parents telling me that they're overwhelmed with the amount of baby stuff and toddler stuff that is in their home. So do yourself a favor. Get rid of some of it if you're feeling overwhelmed. Like if you are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, that is a big red flag that there's too much. So purge it out. Even I shared, I think it was last year, I shared, for me, I was home for a few days on my own. My children were away, my husband was away, and I purged the kitchen cupboards. And oh my gosh, the feeling of satisfaction and of just peace and calm when you open your cupboard and there's only just what you need. There's not 4 sets of dishes that are, crammed in there. There's just one. And I chose, of course, the nicest and the prettiest, and that's it. And so I really encourage you to take note of what the environment around you is giving back to you. And if you're feeling that stress or that overwhelm, it's time for you to just do bits by bits. And so in the PDF that I'll put down below, is really this notion of having 3 categories of what you do not want to keep, what you're not sure about, and what you want to keep for now. And just being, mindful to go through your own things and your children's things. I would start with your own things. This morning I opened my little cupboard where I have my kind of toiletry and everything, and I felt might be time to take all that out, clean out the shelves, and only put back what I really need. So every once in a while I do that, and I encourage you to do it as well. I think you'll thank me for it, and you will see much more calmer behavior, because when there is that overwhelm, it really affects our children's stress level. So be really mindful of that, and minimize what you have. Put things down low for them to have access and such, and just enjoy being home with your children and being in a environment that brings you joy as well, because it's not only about having these perfect little environments for our children. It is about us too, and about the family and everybody living in harmony together. So that is it for me for today. So again, this was Jeanne-Marie Paynel here for you for your weekly Q&A on a topic around Montessori parenting or positive discipline. Next week, I will be talking about involving our children, kind of some ideas of how to do that and make sure that our children are involved in daily chores with us or on their own. And so if you have any questions at any time, post them down below. I would be happy to answer them. And check out the PDF that I will put, and also the MontiKids link. And I will see you back here next week. Alrighty, bye-bye for now.